Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.
The Biden administration is adding 14 Chinese companies and other entities to an economic blacklist. That's to counter the company's alleged human rights abuses and high-tech surveillance in Xinjiang. Here's more.
14 Chinese companies were added to U.S. economic blacklist on Friday. The U.S. Commerce Department said it's because they had been implicated in human rights violations as part of Beijing's campaign in the far west Xinjiang region. That involves repression, mass detention, and high-tech surveillance against the Uyghur Muslim minority group in the region. Beijing denies the alleged abuses. The targeted firms include several information technology groups and security companies in China. They are among 34 entities being added to the list from various countries around the world. The action follows Washington's decision last month to add several Chinese entities to the blacklist over allegations of forced labor in Xinjiang. Entities added to the economic blacklist will be required to apply for licenses and face tough trade scrutiny. China dismisses accusations of genocide and forced labor in Xinjiang.
The San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus says it's working to take down one of their own videos from the internet. In the video, they say the gay community is looking to indoctrinate your children, but they say it was tongue-in-cheek humor. NTD's Miguel Moreno has more on the backlash.
You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked? Funny, just this once, you're correct.
This video was published by San Francisco's Gay Men Chorus on YouTube.
We're coming for your children.
After being immensely criticized for it, they're now working to take it down from social media and other websites. A few divisive statements were made in the video. The gay community is corrupting children, coming after children, and making them tolerant and fair, all of which didn't sit well with many conservatives and religious people.
So I saw it as a moment of clarity, of candor from them, but something we have seen from a lot of our institutions.
Mario Diaz is the general counsel for Concerned Women for America, which says they look to protect and defend biblical values and constitutional principles through prayer, education, and advocacy. Diaz writes about how children are targeted and exposed to sexual and LGBT content.
Now they say that they want to make kids, people's kids, tolerant and fair. What do you think that means?
Yeah, that in their minds, right, that's what must happen in order for their idea of tolerance to come about. But what we have seen, what is, again, undeniable when we look at the facts today, is that the people who promote diversity and tolerance are the most intolerant of all. They are most intolerant of people of faith who disagree with their idea of marriage and sexuality. So we need to push back, I think, as parents, in a loving way, but say this is not acceptable, just as we saw with this video.
In a statement, the Gay Men's Chorus says their tongue-in-cheek humor went over people's heads. The group says it's dedicated to being role models, teaching and spreading the message of love, tolerance, and celebration through music. But in that same statement, they say after decades of children being indoctrinated and taught intolerance for anyone who is other, it's our turn. Miguel Moreno, NTD News.
An animated film depicting Beijing's human rights violations has won big in film awards in Canada. It tells a moving story of a 5-year-old Chinese girl whose mother was killed as a result of the CCP's modern-day religious persecutions. NTD's Don Ma has more.
Peabody Award-winning director Leon Lee's recent film depicting the Chinese Communist Party's modern-day persecutions is earning a myriad of honors. His film Ragdoll won Best Animation, Best Art Direction, Best Screenwriting, and Best Direction Animation at British Columbia, Canada's prestigious annual Leo Film Awards. The film has also been selected for 4 Oscar-qualifying film festivals, including the LA Shorts International Film Festival and Holly Shorts Film Festival. It tells a heart-wrenching story of a 5-year-old Chinese girl whose mother was killed for her faith in China. Mr. Lee says his film is based on real events. What was your inspiration for making this film?
I've been making films about human rights issues in China for a long time, and I happened to meet some young orphans who escaped from China. They were victimized because their parents were prisoners of conscience in China. Some children were expelled from school, some became homeless, some were even tortured. The majority of the scenes depicted in this film are based on real-life events, are based on the interviews I had with orphans from China. So without giving too much away about the film, that's essentially the story.
In your film, you portray the traumatic events of this one girl. Has what happened to her happened to other children in China?
Yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, there is no official statistics to tell us how many children were orphaned because their parents were prisoners of conscience. But through various reports and different years, the number is quite large. We know in the persecution of Falun Gong, for example, millions of people have been affected.
Falun Gong is a spiritual meditation practice. The Chinese Communist Party launched a brutal persecution campaign against it in 1999, despite its widespread popularity in the country before that. Li says for those who love stop animation, they should definitely check out this film. It's currently free to watch on YouTube. Don Ma, NTD News.
BBC photographer got a one-of-a-kind shot during that storm. They're calling it the face of Neptune, the Roman god. Jeff Overs told BBC that it's a straight shot and that it hasn't been manipulated. The bearded face is obvious, but if you look at the bottom, you actually see smaller waves that look like hands. Overs said the waves in this area in New Haven are occasionally blown backwards and can make patterns that look like ghoulish faces. You might call this a pareidolia or just a coincidental pattern. But if you want to use the religious Roman lens, Owens may have caught a god on camera.
Navigating a world of economic madness, you need to have the right guide. What do today's decisions mean for your tomorrow? We ask why. What's the alternative? Uncover the deeper reasons and the hidden influences, and highlight the real opportunities for profit. At NTD Business, we connect the dots for you. Good evening. Thanks for joining us.